The relationship that shapes all of your relationships. So in this recording, I'm going to show you how the power of the relationship that you have with yourself and the relationship you have towards your own life sets the tone for all of the relationships that you have. I'm going to mainly focus in on relationships that you have with your partner. It could be girlfriend, boyfriend, could be your husband, your wife, somebody that you're probably more intimate with and have a closer relationship. But really, all the concepts that I'm going to share could apply to any relationship. So the relationship to yourself in life, it is quiet and powerful. It sets the tone, it sets the energy, it sets the come from, it sets the, tone is just really a good word. It really sets the foundation from which you come from. So we'll also explore in this episode about evidence gathering. That was really kind of the big highlight that I wanted to touch on. But as I was looking at it, I was like, well, in my coaching, when I work with people individually or in groups, we really work from the foundation up. So I kind of needed to fold in both of those to make it kind of come full circle. So again, I'm going to work on mainly in my language would be in a partnership. So evidence gathering would be when in your mind you're focused in, you're honed in, you're seeking out evidence and proof of the other person's flaws, the other person's insecurities, the other person's lacking, what they're doing wrong, what they could do better, what you would want them to think, say, and do differently. So that's evidence gathering, right? It's looking for what you probably would pick apart or nag at. I also want to talk about the illusion of what creates that and how that's a slippery slope, that when we sink into this space of evidence gathering, and oftentimes unknowingly we do this, it is a slippery slope. What it will often do is, again, set the tone, set the foundation for really being miserable. And when you have a really healthy relationship to yourself and your own life, it really can help you live a life of a peace of mind. You can live a life that will facilitate and create healthy relationships, ones that are really deep, intimate, enjoyable, fun, exciting, magnetic, ones that you're drawn towards. So we'll kind of go into that and how a habit of thought of evidence gathering will erode away trust, connection, bond, goodwill, all of it. Okay. So that's why this is all so important. It all ties together. So really what the start of this is, or to summarize it, is every relationship you have with everyone is a mirror. We mirror one another. So when you have a healthy relationship to yourself and your own life, that's what you project outwards. So it's vital. It's so important to have a healthy relationship to yourself and your life. When you have deep love for and conviction and appreciation and gratitude for each and every day, and deeply love your body and this experience we call life, you come from a more peaceful, open, connected foundation. So how you treat yourself sets the standard. It sets that foundation of the energy that come from, the body language, your facial expressions, how you talk, how you hold yourself, what your energy is, whether you have confidence or not. So here's 5 examples of real common negative or low, how about we just say low, relationship to self and life. So it's criticism, seeking validation, burnout, and lack of personal boundaries. Number 4 is communication and honesty. Number 5 is trust and insecurities. Okay, so I'm going to go over each of those really, really quick. So when we are self-critical, so criticism's the first one. When we are self-critical, oftentimes this comes from wiring and programming and a life of whatever. We won't even go into that because coaching is not about the past. I know there's a lot of confusion in that, but therapy and counseling, that's really unpacking, healing the past. Okay. Coaching is really about the future. I will say, if we are self-critical, it usually has something to do with our past, what we've experienced, the life that we've lived, all the data and all the information that we've collected all over our life. We're not finger pointing, we're not blaming here. That's not what we do. What I will say is we typically, when we are critical and judgmental of ourselves, it's unintentionally thinking thoughts that are self-critical and judgmental. So when we're self-critical, we're harsh on ourselves. We're really judgmental of ourselves. We don't allow ourselves to make mistakes or fail, or if we do, we beat ourselves up. What ends up happening is when we are self-critical, we're critical of others. Usually we're more critical of ourselves unintentionally, right? These are unintentional, subconscious, or what I like to call non-conscious thoughts that we can't hear necessarily, right? So they're thoughts that are running. They're usually, I say they're loud, but you don't hear them. And they're really running the show. And that's what I like to call autopilot. Now, if we are the opposite and we are compassionate with ourselves and we intentionally choose how we want to feel, no matter what has happened in our past, right? We could have had the worst childhood, or worst experiences, worst ex-spouses, these terrible, terrible, terrible things that have happened to us. We can intentionally choose to be compassionate with ourselves, be compassionate and empathetic and grateful towards the life that we have. We can project compassion outwards because we are compassionate towards ourselves. When we are self-forgiving, when we make mistakes or have accidents or fail at something, when we're forgiving and we give ourselves grace and we brush ourselves off and we learn from these things, we're gracious towards ourselves. We're able to be gracious, forgiving, loving, kind to others. Now, I want to point out, because I know I'll get some comments on this, this doesn't mean letting people off the hook. It's not what I'm saying. It's not what I'm pointing to. What it does mean is that we see the humanity in others. We don't expect people to be 120% perfect because we don't expect that of ourselves. Okay, so number two, the example was validation, seeking validation externally, looking for kudos, awards, recognition, words of affirmation from others. This is unintentional thought habit. We're unintentionally seeking happiness externally in awards, recognition, pats on the back, attaboys. What's running the show unintentionally is feeling not good enough. Constantly needing your husband, your wife, your partner, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, whatever, to validate you, to reassure you. That's unintentional thinking. That's non-conscious autopilot. Okay. If we are intentional, it's really becoming consciously aware and choosing to validate ourselves, choosing at the end of the day to be proud of what we've accomplished today, choosing to see what we did well, choosing to love ourselves. And if someone shows us some sort of love or recognition externally, it's an addition. It's like the icing on the cake. It's an extra. It's not the oxygen. You get your own oxygen. Your source of happiness is internal. Okay, so boundaries, I actually call it personal boundaries. I have a whole different definition than the majority of the internet. So when I say boundaries, a lot of people think it's telling people what to do, and that's not what a personal boundary is. A personal boundary is protecting and guarding your mental, emotional, and physical energy, which means looking at the day or the week, they usually chop it into one of those two, and making sure that first and foremost, what is plugged in your day, in your schedule, that's a rock, it's a boulder, is those things that fill your mental, emotional, and physical energies, that fill your cup. Okay. Some unintentional thoughts that might be occurring where you're on autopilot is when you're overextending yourself, saying yes to extra work, saying yes to extra obligations, saying yes to going and running errands when you don't have the gas at the time, or you're just exhausted, you haven't gotten any sleep. This is people pleasing. This is not honoring your personal boundaries. You're mowing over those boulders in your schedule that honor your emotional and mental and physical energy, whatever that is. Okay, some people it's reading a book at a certain time. Some people it's going to bed at a certain time. Some people it's going to the gym at a certain time, or maybe it's that walk in the park at a certain time. So these are things when our personal boundaries are pushed aside. It's an us thing. That's an us thing, right? We can't point fingers and blame other people for running over our boundaries. That's not what a boundary is. I wish the internet would stop putting that out there. There's been lots of books and YouTubers and all these people that are using boundaries. They're weaponizing boundaries. Boundaries are personal. They're internal. No one needs to know about them. In fact, it's better that no one knows about them. It's about saying, no, I'm sorry, my schedule's full. So when we say yes to things, it's when you know in your body you want to say no. It's having a backbone and being able to say, no, I'm sorry. Maybe next week I could help you. Oh, that won't work. I'm sorry. I hope you can find somebody else. Right? So when we say yes because we're avoiding feeling guilty or ashamed or rejected or really wanting to avoid hurting someone's feelings, we're, again, if it intrudes on a boulder in your calendar that really ensures that your mental, emotional, and physical energy is protected and refilled for whatever else is going on in your life, it's really not standing in your own truth. Certainly can happen once in a while. Certainly I'm not opposed to missing a workout to help somebody out that's truly in need. So it's not black and white. It's not for sure. It's not, but there are times that sometimes it could be over something really silly, right? But we say yes out of fear. Burnout is not a trophy or a reward that you want to have. Usually it comes with a lot of medical issues. Usually it comes with an autoimmune disease, for instance, or it comes with a lot of heartache and pain and suffering and a destruction of relationships. Boundaries are there as a protection for you. They're bumpers, if you will, is what I like to call them. Now, we can have intentional thoughts. We can come from intentionality and set personal boundaries within ourselves that keeps us internally aligned, keeps us being able to show up for people when you're able to 100%. And when we have personal bumpers or boundaries, we're able to protect and guard our energy. It protects and guards our peace of mind. Something beautiful happens as a result. It shows people what you're capable of. It leads by example. It tells other people that make sure you protect and guard your mental, emotional, and physical energy. People will start following your lead. People will start to understand this person isn't going to do everything that I tell them to do. You're no longer going to tolerate people that disrespect you or want you to overperform in relationships because you've said no in a nice, kind way. What you do is you teach others how to treat you because you treat yourself as a queen or a king. Okay, so that's intentional. And it takes, when I say intentional, it means you actually have to consciously, out of awareness, think before you speak. Unintentional thoughts are just fleeting thoughts that are reactive and you say yes to everything, for instance, on this case. Okay. So number 4 is communicating with honesty. Okay. And communicating with honesty, I like to use the lemonade metaphor. Communication, I meet a lot of people that are like, oh, my marriage is on the rocks. I need to learn how to better communicate. Well, here's the thing is if you're communicating with your spouse and you're wanting to get a point across and you're delivering it in a way that they said, hey, I want lemonade tonight with my dinner. And you're basically taking the lemons and you're just squeezing them into their face and delivering the message from anger, from frustration, from resentment, from all the evidence gathering that you've done, which we'll get more into that in a moment. But if you're operating from a place of anger and frustration, a negative place, right? And you're wanting to serve them lemonade and you're giving them the message and you're communicating in a way that's delivering it from, let me squeeze all this lemon juice in your eyes. That's not communication. That's usually dictating, that's usually nagging, that's usually screaming, yelling, or it could even be shutting down. That could be shutting down, that could be avoiding, that could be eye rolling, that could be holding them in contempt, that could be coming from judgment, critical, blah, 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 right? So sometimes that is unintentional, typically, not always. That usually is from suppressed feelings, needs, wants, and desires. Usually that's not something that happens overnight. Usually that's a buildup of 1,000 cuts. Right? Usually for those people pleasers, that's from wearing a mask and hiding what you really want and need for a number of years, maybe even decades. Right? I meet a lot of women or men even that are in marriages 20, 30 years and their spouse really doesn't even know who they are because they've been pretending so long. Intentionally communicating is intentionally being honest with yourself, like getting real clarity, slowing down to the point where you know what movies you like, what flavor of ice cream you like, what books you like, what type of movies you like, what things you want to do and experience in this lifetime, your bucket list, the things that you want to learn, the things that you want to understand, the things that you're passionate about, the things that excite you, the things that bring you joy, the things that intrigue you, being able to be really clear at what that is internally and what you want to do with your life and being able to articulate that to someone. Intentionally learning how to describe what you want more of in your day, your week, your month, your year, your life with this other person and how you want to share those things with another person. When we are in a place of unintentional suppressing our anger, our frustrations, and so forth like that, that's where we usually do get into evidence gathering, evidence finding. And again, we're going to go into that in just a moment. So number 5, the last one, is trust and insecurity. Again, unintentional habit, thought, loop, pattern, if you will, when you think and you feel and you believe and you act from unintentional thinking, which is programmed, it's conditioned from all the events and experiences in your life, things that you've been exposed to, oftentimes trauma and events, if you want to call it trauma. Trauma's a seriously overused word, but things that have happened in your life that may have an impact on you, that are very top of mind, that maybe are hurtful, the things that bring you pain when you think about it. When unintentional thinking is rooted in yourself, in your life, and you don't trust yourself, you don't trust your own decisions, you seek for advice or opinions of one, two, or maybe the whole internet, you're not trusting yourself. You don't know how to listen to your gut. You don't know how to find your wisdom or your intuition. What you're doing is you're asking the world, you're getting advice for your own life from external people that don't understand you, that don't even know you. That's not trusting yourself. That's insecurity. That means that you are not secure in yourself. When you constantly second guess yourself, when you're constantly, well, it could be this, could be that. Here's the pros and here's the con. Do I say it right? Did I do that right? Am I acting right? Am I good or bad or right or better or wrong? Should I do things differently? Right? And coming from a place of deep insecurity and low confidence. When we don't have self-trust, when we don't confident, or we're not confident in ourselves, we often question every single move. But when we create this environment of deep self-doubt, we create suffering, and it leaks out into the external world. It leaks into your relationships. When you don't trust yourself, you can't trust anyone else. You can't build an intimate relationship with someone if you don't trust yourself. You don't trust life, and you don't trust other people. What ends up happening is when we come from deep distrust of ourselves and our life and others, we really are in a constant state of neediness, grabbiness, and needing reassurance, codependency. We're seeking evidence and proof that we're being rejected. We're going to be abandoned. We're constantly reading in between the lines and looking for evidence and proof that they're going to leave us, that we're bad, that we're wrong, that we're different, that we're not good enough. It creates an intense feeling of anxiousness. Oftentimes it creates a state of overanalyzing, paralyzing overanalyzing, paralyzing anxiety. And this is a foundation of lack of trust within yourself. A person in this state, in this thought habit loop, doesn't feel safe in their own choices, doesn't feel safe in their own decisions. They can't feel safe with anyone else either. And that is a really difficult place to be when you're in a relationship with someone that doesn't have self-trust, because your husband, your wife, doesn't matter. They can't put that in you. No one can do that but yourself. Oftentimes when people operate from low self-trust, they try to control everything in advance. They micromanage everything. They want to stay 2, 3, 4, 10 steps ahead, just in case something goes wrong. When we intentionally choose our thoughts, when we intentionally build trust internal, because again, no one can inject that into you, not a therapist, not a counselor, not your husband, not your wife, not anyone. No one can make you feel safe. No pill, no potion, no lotion can make you feel safe. But when you intentionally build self-confidence, when you intentionally build self-trust, when you purposely and consciously and intentionally keep the promises that you set out for yourself, moment to moment, day by day, you'll start to listen to your gut and your intuition. It will become a louder voice than the negative voice. When you start to own your own choices and own your own decisions and step forward, and at the end of the day, be proud of making your own choices, your own decisions, no matter what the outcome is, you start claiming your own power. You start to calm the inner dialogue. You start to hear and really get in tune with your instinct, your gut, your inner knowing, your heart, your soul. Some people call it God, Jesus, whatever, all the different things, whatever you believe in, the universe. So when you stop needing, which is just an illusion, for other people to make you feel safe, which is not real, it's not possible, it's a state of mind, it's a poor negative thought loop, and you start to know and understand and see how your thoughts and your feelings dictate how you feel and what your reality is like, you start to show up fully and open to other people. You start to become magnetic. You start to become charismatic. You start to bring people into your life that have the same emotional intelligence level that you do. I think we've all experienced people in our life that are magnetically charismatic, really just, you just want to be around them. Like, just, they pull you in, they suck you in, right? These are people that are deeply grateful and appreciative of their life. These are people that are just magnetic. I can't think of another word. Magnetic. They draw you in, they just pull you in, and you just really want to spend time with them. Like, there's just this aura, this energy, this field that pulls you in, draws you in, and it just is warm, it's safe, it's trusting. Because they're like a power plant. They know where their feelings come from, and they know how to, one, have thoughts that are in alignment with that. They know how to fuel those thoughts, and they feel them. They step into that energy. It's not because they don't have an inner dialogue that's negative. They just know it, they see it, they recognize it, they acknowledge it, they thank it for the message that it's trying to give him or her. But they choose intentionally how to think. They choose to intentionally think in a way that has them in a peace of mind. It has them in a stillness. It has their mind quiet down. So the most powerful relationship you have is to yourself. It is the relationship that you're going to have from birth to death. That relationship you have to life is the same. These two are incredibly important. They set the foundation, they set the standard for every relationship you have. So establishing this foundation is vital, it's crucial. That's when those two are in harmony, the relationship to others becomes effortless, fun, easy, light, freeing, enjoyable. Fill in the blank. So the thought, feeling, action loop creates an outcome. You can have intentional or unintentional thoughts. I think most people, when I first meet them that come to me and want coaching, are full of unintentional thoughts, which I like to call autopilot, right? Unintentional thoughts. They have a thought, they have a feeling, and they react. They have a thought, they have a feeling, and they react. They're just robotic. They're just going through life. And the bad part about this, I don't like to label it as bad. The harmful thing about this is when we're operating off of unintentional thoughts, it usually is going to create a comfort zone that gets smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller, where they isolate themselves more and more and more. They have less opportunities, they have less connection, they meet less people, they experience less things. Opportunities just become none. Because when we have unintentional thoughts, it's our brain is running the show. Our mind is feeding us a thought loop that protects us from anything scary, unfamiliar, unsafe. We have the power to choose to think anything we want. Your thoughts are going to either empower you or they're going to disempower you. Intentional or unintentional, both categories. But are you able to decipher what thoughts empower you and light your heart onto fire towards your goals? Or are you able to notice and be aware and decipher thoughts that disempower you and point you away from your goals? Do you believe that you can choose what thoughts to fuel? Now, I am not using the word controlling your thoughts because that's not possible. We cannot control our thoughts. So before you start jumping into the comments and telling me that we can't control our thoughts, you're right. You can train your brain and your mind to work for you. It's very possible. You can decide and declare consciously what thoughts to fuel, what thoughts to grab onto, and what thoughts to put down beside you, and thank those thoughts for trying to protect you. And I know every single thought that we have looks and feels real. That's how our reality is created. We think and then we feel. We feel through our body. We feel feelings through our senses. We feel it through our nervous system. We feel all thoughts, the high and the low. Our thoughts look real. Our thoughts create images, and those images are felt through our body. I know that thoughts look real. That's why whenever someone says, I feel sad because of this, that, and the other, you know what, your thought, that's valid. If I was thinking and feeling what you feel, sad, I would feel sad as well. And if you're thinking and feeling happy thoughts, I will validate you, because if I was thinking and feeling those happy thoughts, I too would be happy. So your mind, those thoughts, right? The unintentional and intentional thoughts, mostly the unintentional thoughts are your ego. Naturally, your ego wants to protect you. Naturally, those voices, that dialogue is going to be louder. It's trying to protect its human. It doesn't care if you're happy. It doesn't care if your body's sexy. It doesn't care if you're successful. It doesn't care how many likes you have on the internet. It does not care how many friends you have. It doesn't care if you're happy. It doesn't care how much money you have in your pocket. Your ego is keeping you safe and alive. And oftentimes, if we let it run our life unintentionally, running that ticker tape, and you're believing every thought that voice says, your world is going to get smaller because it's protecting you. Whenever you have a thought that, oh my gosh, that'd be scary to speak in front of 100 people, your ego, your mind, your thoughts are going to sabotage you if you allow the unintentional thoughts to rule your life. So feelings follow your thoughts. Thought, feelings. Your feelings set the tone. Your feelings set your energy. Your energy is what other people sense around you. That's that magneticness, right? Where that drawn, where you feel magnetized. So they have this energy about them. They're so charismatic. Or if you feel and sense someone is angry, resentful, and bitter and nasty, you sense that too. So the feelings that come from a person's thoughts set the energy and set the tone. A person's energy enters the room before they do. A person's feelings drives the intensity of each and every single moment. It drives the intensity of your reality. It drives the intensity of your nervous system and your senses. And action follows a feeling. Actions and behaviors are what follows, or could be a non-action, follows the emotional tone. So your actions come from the feelings that feel real, from the thoughts that you're wedded to. So your outcomes are going to be the output, the final stage. So it's the stories in your mind that you live out, that you do, whether your heart's set on fire and you take action, or you sit on the couch and do nothing. It's all based on intentional thoughts and unintentional thoughts that you believe, that you fuel, that you engage with, that you believe are real. So emotions get triggered from your thoughts, and your behaviors follow those emotions. When you really actually understand this above and beyond a logical way, a logical sense, right? So logically, all of you are probably like, oh yeah, that makes sense. I can see that. I can see how that's real. I can see that's fine. when you actually see it, experience it in your own life, in your own scenarios, in your own reality, how your thoughts and your feelings and your actions and your outcomes all come into alignment, and how any one of those pieces you can intentionally shift a bit and have a totally different outcome, and see how when your thoughts and your feelings are in alignment with your goals and in alignment with your values, your morals, your principles, and you move forward towards what life you want to create, and really focus in on that, it'll have a huge impact on your life. It'll have an enormous impact on your relationships. It'll have a magnetic, incredible shift in how you experience life moment to moment. It'll change and shift how your brain either works for you or it works against you. So when we react emotionally, right? Emotional roller coaster, you jump on the emotional roller coaster, you know, wherever the wind blows, wherever your emotions blow you, you're on autopilot. You're following the unintentional thoughts. You're following thoughts that are being programmed and conditioned into you by culture, society, fear. You're not autopilot is you're not at the wheel anymore. You're in the back of the plane. So you're not living your life by how you want to feel. You're not living your life by how you want to experience it. So what we want to do is pattern interrupt. What we want to do is change the direction of your thought patterns consciously, purposely, intentionally. Become aware of how your reality unfolds. Become aware of how you think and you feel dictates how you experience moment to moment. It's understanding how your life is dictated and created from a thought foundation. It's really reality versus insanity. Right? A lot of people that first come to me are in insanity. That's not the word they usually use. They're like, I'm suffering, I'm miserable, I hate this, I want it to stop, my life is just so awful, whatever. But when we become aware of our thoughts, we can design and command how we experience our reality, and we can shape the outcome. We can have a say in what our outcome is. So back to evidence gathering in a relationship, or keeping score is another way of describing it. It's also negative confirmation bias. I know that's a big mouthful. I really work with my clients on a third grade level. I like to use words that a third grader would understand. But a negative confirmation bias is just a habit of thought. It's a negative habit of thought. It's basically your brain and your mind subconsciously, non-consciously, unintentionally searching for confirmation of something negative, searching for evidence, searching for proof. So here's an example. Let's say your partner, we'll just use partner, your partner hasn't texted you back. What's your thought? I'm not a priority. Okay, if that's your thought, if that's your unintentional, natural thought that initially pops up and it feels real, it looks real, you feel it in your body, dun, 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 you feel this feeling in your body, you start to scan for proof and evidence that you're not important. You start to think and believe that I'm not important, and you start to keep track of the time. You start to notice and keep checking to see if they texted you back, and you start to create these stories. You start to project to the future what the future looks like, because you're not a priority. You're not important. Another one would be, let's say you're at dinner with your partner and you're telling a story, and at the beginning of the story, they let out a big sigh. What's your thought? Maybe you think, oh, they're annoyed. This story is boring them. I must not be important. They don't want to be here. Right? So what is that going to feel like when that unintentional thought pops up into your mind? You're going to feel less than. What is the action that follows? When you're assuming the worst possible case, you're probably going to operate from fear, anxiousness, rejection, abandonment, probably. And it's going to create some sort of conflict in the near future, if not immediately. Another one would be maybe, again, being in a partnership, a marriage, a relationship, and maybe you're noticing they're staying at work longer and longer. You're spending more and more time alone. If you have a thought that says they're pulling away, spending less time with me, your unintentional thought is they're purposely avoiding me. What you're going to do is push them away, right? In a way that maybe when they walk in the door, you're going to give them the cold shoulder. Your energy, your thoughts and your feelings are, I'm not good enough. They don't want to spend time with me. I'm dumb, stupid, whatever. All this horrible stuff, right? They're going to walk through the door and go, ooh, why did I come home? Why didn't I just work another hour? This is awful. Right? So we think and we feel, we create this energy, this distance, we push people away. So another one would be maybe you're at dinner again and they disagree with you. They give you feedback that lands for you that they don't agree with you. If you have a thought that they don't support me, they think my idea is dumb, or I'm not smart, they're more intelligent than I am, they know what's right, they're better than me, right? How are you going to feel? Right? That's an unintentional pop-up thought running in the ticker tape in your mind, and you're going to feel friction. You're going to feel defensive. You're going to feel, well, that's not true. You'll start to evidence find where else they're not supporting you. Right? More than just in that situation, your mind is probably going to go back in time. It's going to predict the future. You're not even going to be present anymore. So if this is at dinner time, right, the rest of the dinner is just appetite's gone. One last one. Maybe again in a marriage or a relationship, or maybe you're living together and you go above and beyond, right? You clean the kitchen. Maybe it's not normally something that you do. You cleaned it from top to bottom. You put in an extra effort. And you have this expectation that they would notice, and they don't. The thought that you have is they don't appreciate me. So again, your mind and it goes into overdrive and it looks for other situations in the past where they didn't appreciate you. And moving forward, moment to moment, your mind is like a heat-seeking missile looking for more times and opportunities where they didn't appreciate you. Small, tiny little ways to big ways. And what ends up happening is when we're evidence finding, we don't see the bids for appreciation. We don't see the small ways that maybe they acknowledge your efforts in other areas, because your mind is zeroed in and focused on what they are not appreciating, what they are not acknowledging of you. So you miss those moments. A lot of times I see this in colluding when we run to our girlfriends or our friends groups and our boyfriend or, guy friends, whatever, it goes all the different directions. When we go to our friends group and collude and get reinforcement from other people that your spouses don't acknowledge you, don't appreciate you. It reinforces that thought belief that our spouses or partners in life, in marriage, in relationship, take all the labels off, right? Don't appreciate us. That no matter how hard we work, they don't appreciate us, right? When we get validation from our friends, and it really makes it bigger. It makes everything seem really big. We start to look for more evidence. We hear their stories and it brings up memories that, oh yeah, my husband, my wife did that too. That's evidence gathering. So evidence gathering is not operating from curiosity. It's not operating from love. It's fueled by past hurts and past wounds. Again, coaching is very forward focused. So it's not like we're going to go back and heal them in coaching. But what we are looking for is ways to powerfully move forward. When we are evidence gathering, what we're doing is looking for proof that they are failing you. When we are evidence gathering, we are looking to find what is true, even if it isn't true, right? Our mind can play tricks on us. And how I know our mind can play tricks on us is I like a lot of reality shows that are crime-based, like real crimes. And I love shows that show the defense side and the prosecution side. And if it's very balanced on a show, I love that. Because in my mind, for a while, I'm on one side and then I get moved to the other side. And then I'm like, I don't know what's real. I just love that stuff. That excites me. Anyways, so the bank account, the emotional bank account, or bank account of goodwill is what I like to call it. When you're evidence gathering, it takes withdrawals out of the bank account of goodwill every single time. Every single time in your mind or verbally or with your body language, you're expressing disappointment, frustration, anger, rage, resentment that they're not following through, right? With whatever they say or do or whatever, it's not up to your standard. It's upsetting to you. They're not acknowledging you, all of the things that I mentioned earlier. What it does is it takes a withdrawal out of the bank account of goodwill, but it also is destructive to emotional safety in that relationship. Because your partner will feel judged. They will feel less than. They will feel unseen. They will feel insecure. They'll feel as though they cannot please you. They will feel, and they get really sloppy and nervous. And oftentimes they'll do more of what you don't want them to do. So when we get stuck into evidence finding and gathering against someone else, again, a partnership, especially in a marriage, you're a team, you're one. And what it does is it divides you. You're looking for evidence and proof of what they did. You're really looking outside of you and you're believing that this other person is making you feel disappointed, frustrated, resentful. Or what I want to show you is you can dictate intentionally how you want to feel. You can dictate what emotion you want to feel by shifting how you think about this other person. You can recalibrate, you can readjust, you can train your brain to work for you and evidence find for what you do appreciate of them, what you're grateful of, what talents and skills and strengths that they have. When you're evidence finding, you're evidence gathering, you're repelling your partner away. Your partner will find more excuses and ways to spend less time around you, which again, destroys the bank account of goodwill. But when we shift to what we can control, because we can't control our partner, even though we're one, we're in a partnership in life, we can't control them. As much as you want to think you can, you can't. In fact, it makes things 1,000 times worse. But when you shift inward, and what is it in my relationship to myself and life that opens me up to be more open and curious with my partner that I'm sharing a life with, it puts a deposit in the bank account of goodwill. It builds trust and emotional safety in that relationship. When you lead with curiosity, when you lead with love, when you lead with understanding, when you lead with wanting to create an emotional atmosphere and climate that they feel drawn to, magnetized to, when they open up the door, they're like, man, I really need to take off work early tomorrow and make up for coming home late. Right? When it's emotionally safe in a relationship, your partner is drawn towards you. They are more curious. They are more convicted with you. They're more connected. There's more intimacy. Okay. So I wanted to use a metaphor. I love metaphors. The relationship is a radio. So we'll use the metaphor of a radio. I hope everybody knows what a radio is. Now that I think about it, like radio's really, podcasts, I think, have taken over radios. I don't know. I might be wrong. And if I am, I apologize. But imagine your relationship to yourself as a radio. It's like a frequency. So frequency would be the channel that you're on. So if you're tuned in on your radio station to self-doubt and fear and low self-trust, unworthiness, and what ends up happening is there's a lot of static on your radio station. I guess we probably don't have that in podcasts, do we? Unless it's recorded poorly, which I hope this is being recorded clearly. See how those unintentional thoughts pop up and I said it. But when we're tuned into this negative low frequency, it's very staticky. It's very hard to hear what I'm saying. Maybe the things that I say might not land. They might be misinterpreted. They might be, some words will be missing, some vital words, and it might land as criticism. It might land as me being silent when I'm actually talking, but you can't hear me. Because radio, you wouldn't see me. So you wouldn't know that I was, you might interpret silence as, oh, she's mad. When silence is really, I'm talking, you just can't hear me. A staticky radio station might be received as rejection. Okay, so let's turn the radio knob to a little bit clear, like right on the money, and whatever that number is, 98.1. I'd say that's the number on the radio station. So if you tune into self-trust, self-love, self-respect, when you tune into worthiness, feeling enough, being grateful and appreciative that you are happy with your life and your imperfections, and you're just in a loving, great place, and know that everybody else is dealing with their challenges and their messiness and their insecurities, and we're all doing the best that we can. What ends up happening is the signal becomes really loud and clear. Communication becomes easy, it flows. Forgiveness becomes easy. Apologies and things get said in a way that land. So a clear reception is clarity that starts from the inside out. Because when I operate from love, I know how to act. I know what to say. I can step into that energy and I can just be there. Like, honestly, I don't even have to say anything. It's just this being, right? We're human beings. So let me give you a hypothetical, and then I'll close this recording off. So the sample would be Sarah and John. So John, we'll assume, it seems like I always make John the bad guy in all my scenarios. I apologize. I notice that. So that's an intentional thought that I will flip the script in the future. So poor John, but John forgot to text Sarah after work. That's the situation. That's true. That's a fact. 8 billion people on the planet could say, yes, let's look at Sarah's phone. There's no text message. There's no record of it. That's true, right? A jury of 12 would give a thumbs up. John forgot to text Sarah. There's been no text message all day. So let's assume that in Sarah's busy, sped up mind, right? She's tired, she's exhausted, she didn't get any sleep last night, she hasn't ate well today, she's dehydrated, she is on the emotional roller coaster. So she is in a low mood. Oftentimes when we're in a low mood, and again, we're not taking care of our emotional, mental, and physical needs, number one, in our days and our weeks, we'll often hear our unintentional negative thoughts over our quiet mind, wisdom, insightful thoughts. Okay, so her thought is, he doesn't care about me. So what does she feel? She feels rejected. She feels angry. She feels upset. She feels unworthy, not good enough. What is her actions? Her actions are withdrawal. Maybe she sends him a passive aggressive text. In the future, it'd be nice if you'd text me, you jerk. Poor John. I'm so sorry, John. If your name's John, I apologize. So what is the outcome? Well, absolutely a withdrawal out of the Goodwill account, the bank account of Goodwill. Distance grows. They're both no longer one. They're two people. They're playing tug of war against one another. And it's harmful for the relationship. So let's say instead, Sarah has taken care of her mental, emotional, and physical needs to prioritize that over all and everything in her life for the day and the week. She has awareness. She's activated in a place where she's going to intentionally make decisions throughout her day. She's going to intentionally think and feel how she wants to feel because she really finds it very important to feel at peace. So John doesn't text her. Again, we all know that that's true. All 8 billion people on the planet. So her thought might be, I'm feeling anxious. What am I believing right now? Because again, John didn't text her, right? So she has a thought. I feel anxious. It's an awareness of her body. She's noticing a sense, a feeling that things are off because John didn't text her. So what she ends up doing is become centered, become grounded, right? Really activate 1 or more or 5 of all of her senses. She takes a deep breath. She checks in with herself. Again, having that self-awareness that I have this anxious feeling. What is it I'm thinking and believing in this moment that's creating this anxiousness? She checks in. Is this about John not texting me, or is this about something else? Is there something I'm projecting that's creating this anxious feeling? So what she's doing in this moment is she's separating the facts. John hasn't texted her all day. He's running late, as usual. Seems like he always is in my stories. She's separating the facts from her feelings. She's separating them in 2 different canisters. She's realizing the anxiousness is fear. Something's wrong. Something's gone wrong. He's been in an accident. He's been hurt. So what she decides is, because of this story and these fears, this isn't where she wants to stay. This isn't what she wants to face. This isn't the reality. This isn't the energy. She wants him to walk in the door to experience fear and anxiousness, a wife that's unregulated and come unglued. So she taps into her peace of mind, right? You have a choice to fuel what thoughts empower you to feel however you want to feel. So she chooses in that moment to send John a nice, kind message. Hey, I'm just checking in on you. I love you. I miss you. I can't wait for you to come home. So what is the outcome in this scenario? Right? A bid for connection. Something that says, I can't wait to see you. I love you. Tension is avoided. Conflict is avoided. So it's a short, small sequence, a short example to drive the point home. If we go into evidence finding, right? If she goes into the spiraling, unintentional, guarded, fearful thinking, she could start to go, this isn't the first time he's done this. He's done this 100 times. And my friend, it happened to my friend. She didn't get a text from her husband. And he kept showing up later and later and later, and come to find out he was cheating on her. What do you think is going to happen if she starts to believe that movie playing in her mind? What's going to happen when John comes home? Right? When we have a healthy relationship to ourselves and life, we can come from curiosity, we can come from love. We're able to notice and navigate intrusive thoughts, automatic negative thoughts, confirmation bias, all of the things. Because she's loving to herself, compassionate and to herself, gives herself grace and realizes, you know what, I probably have done this to John before. I've probably left him on red or not texted him or whatever, and left him feeling worried as well. All right, I feel like this has gone on long enough. I have more, but I'm going to stop right there. So if this recording resonated with you in any way, shape, or form, please comment. Please give me feedback. Tell me what you liked, what you didn't like, what insights you had, what landed, what didn't. Give me feedback. Leave a review if that's possible. And then, if you're really wanting to break free from an emotional, unintentional thought loop or autopilot, and you want to understand this more, please reach out to me. If you're wanting more inner peace, like Sarah, or John, hopefully in the future. Poor John. I beat him up all the time. Reach out to me. Love to hear from you. I love helping people get unstuck mentally, emotionally, and physically. I love helping people create healthy personal boundaries that really guard their life to where they don't need a vacation from their normal life. They don't need an alarm. If that's the kind of life that you dream of, I'm telling you, it's possible. It's very possible. And through coaching with me, I can help you have that. All right. I hope this served you. Thank you so much. It's been an hour. Can't believe that. I can get really carried away. It's very obvious. All right. Talk to you guys soon.